Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood with Hegwood Law Group, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Kolby Jackson with Neurogenix. Good morning, Kolby.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So it's been a great day. I got to cuddle with my grandson this morning, so it's always good. And he's 3 right now, so he likes to cuddle still, so that's always good.
And so they last, right?
Yes, definitely. So Kolby, this is your company, Neurogenix, correct?
Correct, it is.
All right. So today we're going to talk about demystifying speech therapy for adults. And so, because most people, I think, once you become adult, don't really want to do speech therapy, but yours is really more for people who have had some kind of illness, correct?
Yes, after they've had any neurological trauma or change, so strokes, traumatic brain injuries of that sort, that's really when adults benefit the most from speech therapy.
Okay, so let's get on and dig in a little bit, and just for our listeners, get a little educational here, and tell our listeners, what is speech therapy?
Speech therapy is a part of the rehabilitation therapy. So speech therapists, we're in that rehab team. We evaluate, we treat, we diagnose people with speech, cognition, swallowing, and language disorders, anywhere from birth to death. So we have a very large scope of practice.
And but for adults, how does speech therapy help them?
For speech therapy, like we said, after those neurological events, so those degenerative diseases as well, Parkinson's, dementia diagnosis, that's when speech therapy will be helpful to work on their cognition, their swallowing, their speech, and their language. During the treatment sessions, we utilize our evidence-based research to improve these areas and to give them compensatory strategies to help them reach their goals, whatever they may be. So it's very functional speech therapy is.
So do you find that a lot of your clients are older, or, as far as, someone who's had a diagnosis as they've gotten older, or are you finding that a lot more younger children are coming into your business?
I specialize with those older adults. So it can be anyone from typically 18 and older, because a traumatic brain injury, anybody can receive those deficits. But it's different from childhood speech therapy because it's not developmental. It's people who already have those skills intact, and they're essentially trying to regain what they've lost. So building that foundation again and putting the pieces of their life back together.
So how do you know when someone has had one of these triggering events that speech therapy will either be beneficial or may work? I mean, what signs are there that tell somebody, hey, we should be doing some speech therapy with this patient?
This is a very important question because not a lot of people know that. I think with physical therapy, it clicks a little more. You're like, okay, I broke my leg, I'm having some pain, and I know the next step is physical therapy. But speech isn't always, I guess, as easy to indicate. So I'll go through a few of the steps. For swallowing in particular, if you're at home and you're noticing that your loved one is coughing a lot when they're eating, or they're holding food in their mouth before, or I mean, during or after mealtime, or they have a wet, gurgly voice when they're talking during mealtime. Those are some signs that could indicate, okay, we may need an evaluation to see what else is going on. Some other signs and symptoms for swallowing could be runny eyes, or watery eyes, or runny nose. And for our cognition, we think every day, of course. It goes into our problem solving skills, our memory. So if they're having differences with those daily activities, this may cause you to raise an eyebrow like, what's going on? If they're doing the finances and you're noticing some discrepancies, okay, keep an eye out for that. If they're not taking their medication on a regular basis like they used to, or if they've lost interest in activities that they used to do frequently, they took pleasure in those activities and they're not wanting to do them anymore. You may ask yourself why. Is it too hard these days? Has something happened that's changed why they want to be involved with those things? For speech and language, is a little easier to notice. If your loved one is having some difficulty being intelligible, you're not understanding them as well, or people aren't understanding you, your voice is slurred. That could be an indicator that I need an evaluation. Or for language, if you're not understanding what people are saying to you, or if you're having difficulty expressing your wants and your needs, those are some indicators that speech is needed. So, like I said, our scope is big. So, I know that was a lot of information, but it's a lot to look out for.
I think one of the first things that when we talk about speech therapy, the last thing I think about is swallowing. So that was very educational for me. So I appreciate that immensely, because I wouldn't have associated the two,
Yeah.
with swallowing issues and speech therapy. So that's really, really good information. So I appreciate that. So talk to us about the benefits of in-home outpatient speech therapy.
There are a lot of benefits, but to me, the first one that I always think of is the continuum of care. So, after you've had a neurological event, you leave the hospital. Sometimes you get home health and you may get it a week, 4 weeks, more if you're lucky, but then you're discharged and you're like, okay, what do I do now? That's just it. Progress is stopped and you still have additional options. So you can have outpatient in-home speech therapy, and it picks up from where you left off. So it's functional. It's tailored to exactly what you want it to be. If you're having problems with your sequencing or your problem solving, we're in your house, so we're having therapy where you are majority of the time, and we can work on washing your dishes. Sequencing is within washing your dishes, doing your laundry. We can problem solve using the remote control so you can be more independent in that way. Um, but one of my favorites is also that I get to talk to the family members more. So they're typically more involved because they may be at home too. We are in a pandemic, so working from home, and I get to see what are y'all struggling with on a daily basis. Because I'm only with them 2 to 3 times a week for maybe 60 minutes, but they're with them every day. So if they're having difficulty using their strategies or something came up the other day and this is what happened, how could we have done this better? So it's tailored to what you need it to be. And I think that's really the best thing about having speech therapy in home for outpatient.
So what made you decide to to take this particular path in your life as far as speech therapy? So, because I usually find that people in the medical field tend to get into the medical field for a reason.
My reason was growing up, we had this class in career connections and we had to pick a career. And so happened during that time, my god sister and another child her age, they were both they were same age, but acquiring language at such vastly different rates. And so I was like, I'll do the project on this and did a little bit of research and I was interested. And once I got to college and was in grad school doing my externship, I started to work with adults because like most people, I thought speech was just kids in the beginning. But working with adults, it I was just passionate about it, helping them put the pieces back together after a life altering event, and seeing that these these little moments for them are actually very big moments because it gives them hope that the future will be a little bit better. Like I'm not going to be stuck where I am now. So I I think it was just lucky because I do tell that story a lot about my career connections, but I feel like the adult realm has it makes me feel passionate about coming to work every day.
Yeah, I feel that way about my job. And so, I love my job, and I'm blessed to be able to do it every day. And I have no qualms about getting up and getting dressed, And so, well, maybe sometimes I'd like to be wearing my pajamas, but, so it's like, but definitely coming to work and getting to meet the great people I get to meet, And so, so I tell you what, Kolby, tell our listeners, how do they find you?
I have a phone number. My phone number, 832-304-4524. You can call and get a free 10 to 15 minute consultation. So if you're still hesitant to see if speech therapy will be beneficial for you, you can give us a call and we can talk about what's going on for you or your loved one, and then schedule an evaluation. If you have any further concerns to see, can we really help you? And if so, how? What are your goals? And we can go from there. My website is www.neurogenix with an X, so NEUROGENIX LLC.com. And my email is Kolby@neurogenixllc.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have if you have any additional questions. So, yeah.
Perfect. And so this is great. So this will be a great starting point for us. And then I'm assuming we'll see each other again and do this again and later on. And so it's been a pleasure having you on. So I appreciate it immensely. And you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.